This is the Cascade Model 100 toboggan. Anatomy of the toboggan includes the handles, which are also known as horns, the chain brake, which is mounted at the front of the sled and drags in the snow to add friction. The horns are hinged where they attach to the sled, and they may be secured in a fixed position using the horn locks. When completely empty or with only a sled pack on board, this is considered an unloaded toboggan. For best handling of the unloaded toboggan, the horns are usually left unlocked to keep the fins in contact with the snow. The toboggans are also equipped with a tail rope for use by a second qualified patroller to add stability and braking force. This sled is equipped with long, shallow fins optimized for hard-packed snow conditions. And this sled is equipped with short, deep fins for soft or powder snow. When responding to an emergency call, the objective is to get there quickly and safely. The safety of the other skiers on the trail is paramount. Observe your responsibility code just as you would without a toboggan, but especially at intersections or when crossing from one side of the trail to another. Do not expect that other skiers will notice or be able to account for the length of your toboggan. Hold the toboggan with a high and slightly loose grip to reduce the transfer of motion from your body to the sled. Control your speed with short skidded swing turns or using snowplow, side slip, or hockey stop techniques as needed for the conditions. You must visually clear all intersections and be ready to stop or avoid other skiers at all times. When approaching the scene, check your speed well in advance and survey the scene for safety. Steer to one side to avoid any chance of crashing into the patient. Position the toboggan approximately 1 ski length downhill of the patient, perpendicular to the fall line, and secure it with the horns and chain brake. At least one patroller should always be downhill of the toboggan and able to maintain control while the customer is being loaded into the sled. Lock the horns using the horn locks. Maintain positive control of the toboggan and ensure that it does not move. With the customer on board, this is considered a loaded toboggan. The horns must be locked to control the toboggan safely. If the horns are not locked, they may fold up and the toboggan will run over the patroller and proceed out of control down the slope. To begin transport, lift up on the downhill horn and pivot the sled carefully into the fall line. Depending on the terrain and situation, this can be done from inside or outside the horns. There are several factors that help control the speed of the loaded toboggan. These include the edges of the patroller's skis or snowboard, the chain brake, snow conditions, micro-terrain and route selection, and the tail rope. A snowplow technique is appropriate on most moderate terrain. Transition from snowplow to side slip to increase the braking force. And on steeper terrain, use the chain brake to add more braking force and reduce the load on your legs. Be sure the chain brake deploys fully underneath the nose of the sled. Find a comfortable position in the horns so that your legs are doing most of the work and your arms and back are straight. During transitions from snowplow to side slip and back, the toboggan should maintain an almost perfectly straight path down the fall line. To make the transition, flatten your edges and rotate around a vertical axis. If needed, it's okay to lift the tail of the uphill ski slightly. Be careful it does not hit the toboggan or the chain brake. Before making the transition, move forward in the horns so your ski tails will be well clear of the front of the sled. And then slide back to your comfortable position. If the ski edge is allowed to carve during the transition, the toboggan will swerve out of the fall line, which is uncomfortable for the patient and may result in the toboggan fishtailing and losing control on hard-packed or icy snow. In most groomed snow conditions with the chain brake down, the patroller should be able to control the speed of the sled by pressing down on the horns for more braking or lifting up for less braking. This is known as feathering the chain. The patroller must be able to continue across flatter terrain with the chain down by lifting up on the horns. Anticipate terrain changes so you can transition and or drop the chain in advance before you reach the steep part. In these good snow conditions, the chain brake is providing almost all of the braking force on this steeper terrain. As the terrain flattens, again anticipate the need to transition back to a snowplow and reduce the braking force by lifting up on the horns or pulling the chain brake. Once again, notice how the patroller anticipates the terrain change. The chain is down and the transition to side slip is complete before the rollover. While in a side slip, any buildup of snow under your skis can be managed by using a falling leaf technique or by stepping through the loose snow. As the terrain flattens, the patroller transitions back to snowplow and lifts the horns to unweight the chain brake. It can be comfortable and effective to reach back and grip the crossbar with one hand. Note that the left hand remains on the left handle and does not cross over. In some cases, it can be effective to brace the handles or crossbar on the patroller's legs or hips. Pulling up the chain is easiest while the sled is in motion. Slide the hand back along the outside of the handle and sweep forward, picking up the loop. Immediately hook the loop on the horn. Do not leave your hand, thumb, or fingers in the loop in case the chain gets caught on something. The chain should be all the way up or all the way down.